Yes. We are back. It is another Unapologetic with EKing. This is Wellness Wednesday. So that means we got the one and the only Steph Kells. Stop pushing buttons. Get on the mic.
Okay, I'm on the mic.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm just sending it out so folks can join us because we are on IG Live and
We are.
Facebook Live and YouTube Live and
Yeah.
Live. So welcome.
What you're
Happy
basically saying is
October.
that I'm wearing too many hats.
Eric's wearing all the hats,
Yeah,
y'all.
I'm wearing
Okay.
too many hats. Facebook Live, this live, that live, all of it together. All right, so as usual, we are on everything.
Yeah,
So this is our Wellness Wednesday.
yeah.
And why are you looking like that?
I'm relaxed.
How's your day coming? You
My
want to
day,
talk about
I
it?
mean, it's good. I just, it's been a reflective day being a corporate America worker and missing some opportunities and grassroots experiences that I really care about just really hit me head first today. So that was been difficult to process.
That's no good.
But I'm okay. I'm blessed. I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm at peace and ease with what God has for me.
Okay.
And that's it. How you feeling?
I'm cool. It's Wednesday. You know how I do.
Yeah.
I like to relax. What was your month like? You know we got to do our
I
usual
know.
recap.
Okay, so
What was-
September-
September was terrible. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
September was terrible.
It was terrible.
What was wrong with September was
It-
terrible for you too?
It. You said two. It's all around. Let's see. It's so from the business side. September is the last month of the quarter before we jump into the fourth quarter, and that sucked because if you had not made a profit or anything like that, you have to right. What is that face you made?
Because it's like it's giving you to make a profit. I don't understand.
No, I'm done. What I'm saying is when you are doing your books in that third quarter, because this
okay.
is the third quarter, and then we got 3 more months until the end of the year.
Yeah, I got it.
So
okay.
we got to make sure that we get everything in order. So that's one. Secondly, when we it's just slow because October is my birth month. So
Oh, happy birthday!
Yeah.
How young are you?
I'll be 50.
Oh, party, Mrs. King, where the party at? It has to be a party. 50?
50. I'll be 50.
Come on, EKing
Yeah, well,
party like it's EKing time.
as long as it's not Diddy. But anyway.
I was actually in my mind.
Well, yeah. But no, so I'm
not
so
gonna
yeah,
judge
so
you.
this is my
It's
birthday
not
month.
Diddy.
But last month was just slow, business wise,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just September just didn't feel it. I didn't feel it. What about you?
Yeah. September was challenging. I mean, since June, I've fasted every month.
Yep.
And September, I did not have a clear, concrete fast.
Okay.
And I could tell the demons was demoning. Okay. Like it was
not a
just
thing.
a lot of difficulty. It was, and not overt, right? Like
Yeah.
life keeps going. I'm always protected, but it was just challenging. I was a little bit out of my own character in
Yeah.
certain ways when things were coming at me that were disrespectful or just challenging. I didn't have like the chill that I usually have, and I
Yeah.
could tell that I just didn't have enough intimacy with God. I didn't fast. I was just deep in the flesh. I was busy a lot, but not always like structured in my busyness.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I feel better about October. It was like I woke up October 1st and I was like, of course I'm fasting
Yes.
these first 3 days.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I feel so good. Like I feel so much better. It was really dramatic. But September felt like a whole year. I don't know about the audience, but September felt like it was a
did.
whole year
It did.
in itself.
So for those that have not actually done this, what's funny is when you go and you do the so when you grow a certain age, you have
Yeah.
to do colonoscopy. So we're going to talk about breast cancer, and you're going to talk about your first experience or your first experience coming up with something.
Yeah.
But for men, you got to do this whole colonoscopy thing, and so as you get older, but this is what I will say. Because I'm both black and there is a history of prostate issues in my lineage, not with me, in my lineage, I've had multiple colonoscopies,
Okay.
right? The greatest that I've ever felt is during the fasting moments of the colonoscopy.
I
When
bet.
everything is out of my body, I feel so amazing. And that's the reason why I don't eat certain things anymore. So now after this last one, I don't eat rice. I stopped eating bread.
Really?
Yeah.
That's probably why your guns were gunning last time. Y'all, his guns was gunning. I was like, what is going on here?
I also age well.
Y'all see Eric turning red. It's so funny.
I'm aging red all at the same time.
Yeah.
So I stopped eating bread. I stopped eating rice.
Good for you.
So this last time, but so I can totally understand what you are actually talking about when it comes to this idea of fasting.
Yeah.
In every discipline, whether you have one or not, the concept of letting go of certain earthly things in order to center yourself is a part of that.
Yeah.
And it's just odd that more people don't. Whether we're talking about abstaining, which is also fasting, or just literal fasting, right? So abstaining from sugar, anything that was related to unnatural sugar, right? Or abstaining, the one that we hear mostly is sex, abstaining from sex. But, you can abstain for pretty much anything and you can see a difference.
Yeah.
How was your withdrawal though?
I didn't have one. So I think it just...
You didn't have withdrawal symptoms? Really? Okay.
But that's because I really fast biblically. Like I do a biblical fast. So I literally eat the word and prayer for food. So like when I'm hungry, I worship or I pray, and I do it corporately with shout out to Hannah's Petition and On Purpose Parenting. They're on the prayer call now at 12. They're on the prayer call. But so when I get hungry or I'm weak, like I have my sisters that I connect with and we pray and worship. And so then I'm filling my spirit, because my intention around fasting is to kill my flesh and not have my flesh be dependent on things of this earth, right? But to be dependent on God's love and his wisdom and his peace. And so that withdrawal doesn't really come in because I actually lose the hunger and I'm filled up in the spirit. What happens to me is my ability to digest in that next meal is a little bit more compromised if it's something heavy. The way that you mentioned, letting go of rice and letting go of bread. If you have a fasted lifestyle, it's more and more difficult to digest those things because they're not really meant for your body. It's not easy for your body, and it's not nutritious. It's really just feeding desire.
Are you of one that was this thing called a cultural or biological diet? Have you heard about this?
No. I'm like...
So obviously we have the idea of cultural diet, right? Depending on what culture you're from, eat those foods, but also a ethnicity or genetic diet based off of where you're supposed to come from. And so those that are those that are African American, obviously, or black. I never hyphenated, but Black Americans, they say you're supposed to eat certain things because of your DNA lineage.
And he ain't talking about macaroni, cheese, and ham hock and chitlins.
Or oxtail,
That's
which
not what he's
which
talking
there's no
about.
more ox. That's
Do
just
y'all hear me?
that's just cow tail. That's not oxtails. Anyway, but at any case, this concept of the diet that you're supposed to eat based off of where you're from, which I can see that, but we're so much of a mixing pot over the past 100 plus 200-300 years, that DNA concept may not fall in line.
I mean, and I think if we go with the DNA that is ultimate, which is like we're human. We're supposed to eat things that are not processed, right? So anything that mankind has compromised is going to compromise you. It's compromised me. That's why I can't get this belly flat now. I was going to go there because I'm not going to preach to the people like I haven't had no macaroni and cheese and stuff.
When was the last time you had macaroni and cheese?
A long time, though. Yeah, because it's just not the same, and the dairy is just not right.
I haven't eaten dairy in a while either.
Dairy is weird.
Yeah,
dairy is weird.
It's weird that
but I will eat some chips and dip.
Yeah.
Like I will have some dairy on a Philly cheesesteak, but I know it's not right, and then it's compromised. But even now, like I'm talking about it, I'm fasted. I'm not even hungry.
What?
But,
okay.
But so that just to connect the dots back.
Yes,
like,
connect the dots.
I encourage fasting for sure.
Yes.
I also reflected on how it impacted my month, but then just overall wellness and what we have to make sure we're taking care of, men and women, as it relates to the sensitivity of this month, right?
Yep.
And so that comes down to the basis of what you put on your fork.
Yep.
No matter what we say today moving forward, it all comes down to what you put on your fork.
If you don't eat well, you won't be well. What you eat is literally what you are. And it has always been that way. Like seriously. Like serious.
Like, are you think about that?
Are you really struggling with weight though? Like seriously.
Yeah, to me I am. But that's more so because I'm a snacker and I don't put enough time into hydrating and being intentional about my eating. Yeah. So then it just sticks on me. I'm about to hit 40. So it's also like the hormones hit different and everything that I've probably put in my body previously. Yeah. And ladies, just let the wine go. It's the wine. It's like,
why are you going to get on the wine?
Because that sugar.
Okay. That is true.
It's sugar. It's especially wine now. We're not getting
real
wine.
We're not getting biblical stuff.
Sugar, and we're getting.
We got to get some of this Lord wine.
Yeah, I need to go to the vineyard and get some wine if I'm going to drink it. So, but you get into a habit of like snacks and wine, and then
it's also easier to eat unhealthy.
It
is really
they make it
expensive
so convenient, and that's intentional.
Yeah,
that's intentional.
So let's segue
genocide. I think.
Where does that come from, Pastor Genocide? Let's segue this into the other stuff.
Before you
before you jump into that. So October is breast cancer awareness, but it's a whole host, right? It's Heritage Awareness Month, it's ADHD, but we're just going to focus on breast cancer.
Yes.
And so breast cancer affects both men and women.
Yeah.
And it is the second leading, death. So later on we'll do the whole stat stuff. But I don't know any males that have suffered from breast cancer. But they are out there.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily know anyone within my family, but in my extended family, meaning as in friends and friends that have struggled with breast cancer. One friend has even had
a man?
No, a woman.
A woman. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Wow.
And she hadn't, if you get a double mastectomy, she hadn't had any kids. Oh. This was literally the ultimate preventative medicine thing. And
was that recommended for her?
I don't know if it's recommended, but I have heard it as something that people are doing.
How did they approve that?
Who's they?
Insurance or anything to
know.
Do that? That's very invasive.
Well, this is what I believe, that just like anything else, it's about our history.
Yeah.
If we have a history of something, it better justifies whether or not the medical, the procedure is paid for. So my assumption is because her mom passed away from it, it was something that was justified.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that's very invasive.
That's the world we live in. Because if we go back to this, what we put in our face, not just fear, let's be real. Some of that is real because of what we do and what we put in our face. The water we drink is not pure. The food that we eat is not pure. And if you are not a conscious person of what you ingest, you're going to have in America, you're going to have a physical issue.
Yeah, I understand. I just, and maybe there's more to the story. I just want, when you said it's the ultimate prevention, I just want to encourage women, make sure you're making your doctors work. It's sad to hear that, someone without breast cancer and without children was approved and supported as a Black woman, I assume, to remove her breasts.
Yeah.
And I just think that is not going to be easily approved by any provider that for someone who's not Black. It just shows you who cares about Black women? I hate to go there, but that is very extreme and be able to get that type of approval based on family history. There's multiple factors that would have to be assessed to determine for you to get that level of invasive surgery that not only compromises you now, but compromises you in the future with breastfeeding. It's like getting a hysterectomy without having a child, right? It takes a lot to be able to get that approved and done and people to agree to it. So just for the audience, and I'll be praying for your friend, because that has to be a a difficult journey. You know, I hope that the audience knows, like, you definitely don't need to take that type of step to be as a prevention.
Preventative medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's other
It's
steps. I just want to encourage the other steps.
yeah.
Respectfully.
So I've heard of it happening with other women.
Yeah.
With this woman specifically, I don't think she went into it without knowledge. This is a very highly intelligent person, and I don't think she went into it without knowledge. I truly believe that she wanted to ensure, because of the family history, that it just didn't affect her. And, you know, this is something that she just ultimately chose to do.
Yeah.
So anytime that we're dealing with medical issues, especially in America, this concept of trust in the medical system is something that we look at. Now, neither one of us are doctors, but we are mental health providers. So when we do go down this road, we're going to go down this road as mental health providers.
Always. That's what I'm thinking about with this example of mental health, not intelligence, of mental health.
So when we're gonna jump out on our quick break. When we jump back in, I'm gonna give a couple stats, and we're gonna talk about it from two different perspectives. We're gonna talk about it from just multiple perspective, but men, women, the globe, you know, and how, you know, over the past 20 years, how we've seen just an increase in the amount of individuals that are struggling with breast cancer. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back on the other side, and we're going to talk a little bit about all of this. So I'll catch you on the other side. This is Unapologetic on WOVU 95.9 FM. Welcome back.
Get the transition. Right?
I know, I was reading and looking at stuff.
WOVU.
Welcome back to Unapologetic. This is Wellness Wednesday. We got Steph, we got Eric, and we're talking about breast cancer. All right, let's look at some numbers.
Yeah.
All right, so breast cancer overall, in 2023, there were over 290,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer diagnosed with women. And for men, breast cancer is much rarer, but still significant, with at least, now mind you, these are just men that came forward. These are men that went and got a physical, went and followed through. This has to be extremely low, but 2,800 new cases in 2023. That can't be right.
No. Well, you know, our brothers ain't always going to the doctor.
If we look at it based off of just the ability or men going to doctors, I mean, and being honest about what's going on and wanting it printed or whatever, I can see that as 2,800. But this is in the U.S.
Wow.
2,800 men.
Yeah, that's underreported.
Related to over 290,000 women. So that's a bit off. So
that is over a quarter of a million women.
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So as a mental health provider, I have yet to work with anyone who has struggled with breast cancer, but I have worked with an individual who has had a chronic disorder. Which this is. I primarily work with men, and I have worked with men who have had their prostate removed, and they were having sexual difficulties. So although I haven't specifically worked with men or women dealing with this struggle, I have worked with individuals that have received this hammer. And one of the things that they want to know is, how am I going to live the rest of my life?
Yeah.
When you're working with someone, what are some things, or someone with a chronic disorder, what are some things that you want them to gather from, post-diagnosis?
Yeah. Well, really just giving themselves room to grieve. That part gets skipped because you're celebrating the fact that you have survived and you're living, and that you are quote unquote cured or in recession. You forget to grieve sometimes the pain that came with the diagnosis, who you who you were before that,
Yeah.
who you were before the treatment, before the chemo, who you were before you lost your breast,
Yeah.
who you were before you felt like you were staring death in the face. So the first, recommendation and support is to help them grieve the previous life and reach a level of acceptance of where they are now. And so a lot of that is just exploring their thoughts. And determining which ones are distorted, based in fear, based in anxiety, and catastrophizing, not recognizing that they are still here.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of thought stopping, shifting their thinking to get to that level of acceptance.
Yeah.
And just lastly, getting into a renewed space. Like, how can you celebrate and maximize this new opportunity to live
Right.
more consciously,
Yeah.
more aware, more grateful? And how do you show up that way? And then finally,
Yeah.
advocacy. So folks who
So
deal with-
transition. Okay.
So how do you advocate for someone else and pour back into someone that is familiar to your situation? Because a lot of the times that is very empowering, right?
Yeah.
That's what the whole concept behind these walks and runs, and that's advocacy.
Right.
Now, it is fundraising, but for the woman who is in the pink and celebrating and walking forward, she is attempting, at least my clients, attempting to have some advocacy
Yeah.
and celebration
Yeah.
to inspire hope.
So roll back a little bit before we jump to advocacy. I want to go back to this concept of emotions, because this idea that this thing is happening to me. First, your
yes.
body has betrayed you, right? And
Yes.
dealing with the emotional struggle of your body betraying you.
Anger.
Because cancer is literally you turning against you and spreading. So that's one. And that emotional, I hate to say it, roller coaster, although it's on the sheet, but emotional roller coaster of dealing with your new normal. So when we're working through this new normal, it's not necessarily going through the stages of grief, which are not really stages. They're just points in time.
Yeah.
But this is, once you come to that understanding that this is your new normal, there are so many things that whether you regardless of the gender that you are, that you have to deal with. Let's say that you get this diagnosis and you're still dating on either side, right? And so the actual struggle and embarrassment of whether you're male, or a woman, dealing with the fact of you may or may not have your breasts. Or and your chest may be flat.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually dealt with anyone, like I said, on that level, but understanding that there's a point in time where you have to look at your life as this is who you are now.
Yeah.
Right. This is what has happened to you, and this is who you are. And because this is who you are, how do you want to move forward?
And it doesn't define you. Like, just in that emotional shift, in that level of acceptance, you're also really recognizing your true identity, right? You're not defined by your breasts. We are not defined by the flesh. We just aren't. We are defined at birth by God. I'm always going to take it back to my father. You're defined as God's child. And so the breasts are something of the flesh. And so when you tap in at that level, then your character and your love and your service and your peace, that all becomes way more contagious than your rack, as people say, right? Like it fades and it Why are you laughing? Because that's when you're. I'm thinking about
every
the
now
relevant.
and again you just throw in some stuff. You be on the God, and then you be like, and then you're
Make sure
right.
people listening, y'all up. Hello, good
I don't know if
morning.
they listening.
Good
They might not be
afternoon.
listening.
Happy
Go ahead,
lunch.
go ahead.
No, but it's just so important that you recognize who you are defined as, and that helps your worth not be contingent on things that are fading. So breasts fade if you are going to have an experience with surgery or not. They're going to change.
Yes.
Your breasts are going to change.
Yes,
Your
yes.
men's bodies are going to change. And so when you recognize that, yes, your situation is different in the dating, experience, it's still important to not attach based on things that fade. So basically, let
to
him
go
go.
back
If
to
he
go
can't
back to
accept
this
it, let it go.
to go back to this rack thing. This
Where is the boss
so
at? Talk.
the
Yeah,
boss back then, they let me
why
do
you
what
saying
I.
rat again? I said it.
So if we look
Go
at it,
ahead.
if we go back to dating and
Yes.
dealing with this new normal of dating and a roller coaster, right? And it
Yes.
doesn't necessarily mean that you're a young person dating. You could be an older person dating.
Yeah.
And dealing with this roller coaster of emotion as it relates to who you are, the idea that, the aesthetics of who you are is not important.
Yeah.
And I think we need to let go of this idea that everyone is looking to the inside of people. Let's be real. The first level of
Yes.
attraction is the way someone looks. If you ain't looking a certain
Yeah.
way, there's no attraction. And I'm sorry to say, for years, the breast has been that first entryway for some people. Now, not for me. I'm not a breast man.
Oh Lord. Okay. Thanks, Eric, for that. So let's just okay,
All right, I'm
y'all.
sorry. Go ahead.
No disrespect to anyone who's touched
Zero.
by breast cancer. No matter what we say, let's
Yes.
just make sure we preface it that neither Eric or I have been touched by breast cancer. So
Yes.
we cannot really capture what the experience is like for you all. So if anyone's listening and has had that experience, we love you. We're praying for you. We cannot imagine what it is like to live each step of the way, and your journey is your journey, and we respect it if we know it or understand it or not. What I understand you to say, Eric, is that that in dating the attraction is physical, and so if a woman is
Initially, just
experiencing
initially.
understood
Yeah.
understood, if the woman is experiencing that level of attraction in her season of dating, and then she has this diagnosis and there's something that happens with her breasts, then that's going to lead to a depressive situation. Her worth is going to decline.
Yeah.
Her depression is going to increase. Her anxiety could increase. Her self-esteem could be lowered, right? And so I know I'm speaking kind of like high level and what I aspire society to be like, which is not surface. You got to get a therapist. When you have that oncologist
Yeah.
better be referring you to a therapist as well.
And they don't, though.
And they don't.
And the other part is,
Which is so sad
once
and
once you
goofy.
get any diagnosis, we're talking about a chronic diagnosis. Anytime you get any diagnosis, the people that are around you affect the way that you heal. And when you're healing, you need people around you that are not only a positive, but also affirming, and lastly, realistic.
Yeah.
Because far too often, I think that in order to assist someone in feeling better, which no one can help you feel better, you have to make you feel better. There's some lies that happen in our community and with our friendships, to where you have to be real. Your life is going to be different. How would you like us to support you in the way that your life is going to be different? And when you have a support system that is real and not there just to blow smoke up your behind, it's going what? I'm being real, because if when I have clients that have a chronic disorder, the very first thing that I ask them is, what is your support system, and do you believe they are telling you the truth?
Yeah.
The truth, not reality sometimes, because reality is sometimes based off of what we see, but the truth. The truth is, this is how you are. This is how you're coming across to me. What is your intention? Is that your intention and your goal? No? Okay, so let's work together. And that's how it works when you're working with someone or you have a support system.
Yeah.
So that's all. When you're going through that depression, the greatest way to move through your depression is movement and support, not only a therapist.
True. And that support and prayer, that support needs to be a praying support, but also, being present. And presence doesn't always look the same for each situation. They could be helping you run errands, like be honest about what you want. They could sit in silence with you, right? They could be encouraging to you. Go for a walk, like you said, movement, go for a walk. I think what we're both saying in general is that isolation, when we get this news, isolation is going to perpetuate the sadness, is going to keep it going, is going to keep that anxiety going. But you're going to automatically want to isolate, because embarrassment,
Yeah.
defeat,
And
not wanting anyone to see you like this. That's a
Yeah.
very common phrase. I don't want anyone to see me like this. I don't want to be seen like this. So
pivot a little bit though. What
What do you mean?
does healthy separation look like versus isolation from your standpoint?
man.
When you're working with a client, healthy separation is what?
right. Healthy separation is based on how that person makes you feel.
Okay.
You know, it's about safety and preservation. So I always think about peace and proximity.
Yep.
That's what I always tell my friends. Peace and proximity. So if it doesn't yield peace, then proximity has to be determined like I need space, right? So that's boundary that's going to support your wellness. That is going to support your wellness.
Yeah.
Isolation, it makes you feel comfortable in your defeat, and it's driven by negative emotions, right? So fear, anger,
Okay, keep going.
fear that I'm alone, fear that people are going to judge me, right? They're negative thoughts.
Yeah.
That's going to isolate you.
Yeah.
Boundary situations is for peace, right? Peace and proximity over everything. But it's not like ignore and isolate,
Yeah.
right? Because ignore and isolate is like, I don't want to pay attention to these feelings.
Yeah.
People coming around me are going to give me the feels. I don't want the feels. I have to go over here and be alone. I got it by myself. I don't want them to see me like that. Those
What's
are all
the
negative
feels?
distortion.
Go back to the feels.
The feels is when you have, you know, people coming around you that are going to elicit vulnerability in you.
Right.
They're going to make you admit to the anxiety that you have just based on the safety of their presence.
Because they need to feel, and that's the other part. A lot of times when we are struggling, when we have someone who is struggling with a chronic disorder, they don't feel well. And so because they don't feel well, they try to make us feel well.
Yeah,
and
protection.
Right. And so what they're doing is self-protection because they're attempting to feel well, and they can have good intentions, but it's the wrong actions. Good intentions
it's
don't
deflection.
mean
Because it's truly deflection. It's like, that's not focused on me. I'm going to focus on you. I'm used to being the caregiver. I'm used to being the nurturer. And so me being vulnerable in my feelings of weakness and inadequacy and in my fear, I'm going to deflect, meaning distract and redirect onto you and see how you're doing so that we can ignore how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And in turn, I no longer have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm just going to elicit your vulnerability and then the visit's over and now you're gone.
Yeah.
But that is that survival, strong Black woman type of energy where we have been conditioned for so many years not to care for ourselves, right?
in any way.
In any way. So breast cancer, eating, pain, you know, anything that you're dealing with. As you know, as a Black woman, you're gonna push to nurture others mostly, and that's just gonna perpetuate your mental health. And if your mental health is compromised, your physical health
Will
is
be compromised.
compromised.
So the idea that so to go back, has to be a misnomer. Or not a misnomer. This is just what's reported. 2,800 men in 2023 of new cases in all of the men that we have in the United States.
Yeah.
When we're looking at testing for men, or just period, the idea of testing is understanding the whole screening process, understanding, so I've never had that screening process. And did you want to talk about, what you have coming up for you? Yeah, go ahead.
On the radio? Hello.
Why
Welcome
not?
to my chart. No kidding. So that was me deflecting. You see that?
Yes.
So I do have my first mammogram scheduled for Friday as I'm approaching 40 years old in November. And so I don't know what to expect, honestly.
What are your thoughts about it though? Because did you have a screening first? What was the process where your doctor was like, okay, this is what need to happen? And what is the process that you say, okay, I'm willing to go and do this?
Yeah, well, it's based on age. So when you're about 40, you know, that comes in as a referral as far as your next procedure. And so I honestly was hearing a lot about different people my age in my community and sometimes younger getting breast cancer.
Okay.
I have family and friends who have suffered from breast cancer, survived breast cancer. And so I'm just one of those people who are always like checking my breasts. And every time I'm at the OB, I'm like, okay, can you check it again? And I've never had any concerns, any lumps, anything like that.
Right.
Praise God. But I just wanted to do my due diligence. Now, do I want to put my breasts on that cold plate and have it smushed?
Yeah.
I don't. But I'm not going to let a lump determine that. I'm going to take my preventative steps based on the recommendation
Right.
from my doctor
Right.
that's built into my chart based on my age, not necessarily race, because I think they would have tested me a little bit sooner.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't have any other indicators.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I'm doing this, and you required it, and I'm doing it. My thoughts about it.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to normalize that this is just another preventative check, and that anything can happen to me at any given time. So with that level of understanding, I'm just going to stay prayed up
Yeah.
and just know, like, this is an indication of age and the reality of my limitation on this earth,
Yeah.
which this is a temporary form, like
Yeah.
this body is going to expire. So let's do what we can.
What even in this moment and talking about it, what level of emotional connection do you have to the actual
Go ahead.
what do you have to the actual idea of testing? Because let's be honest, we don't have anyone here who is struggling with it.
Yeah.
You can ask me about certain things that has to do with men, that are primarily men.
No, I appreciate
But
these
this
questions.
is also the same thing.
Yeah, no, you know why I appreciate these questions? Because we don't talk about these things.
Right.
We always talk about it after the fact.
Right.
Every woman with breasts you're going to get your breasts examined.
Right.
You should, and don't wait until there's a problem.
Right.
Just do it like you go to a physical, like you get them lashes redone, like you get the hair retwisted or braided, then get your breast checked.
It is a mammogram.
It's a mammogram. It's a
Go ahead.
mammogram.
Okay.
So you get a pedicure, get a mammogram, right?
Right.
Like that's my emotion around it. Like
Yeah.
Stephanie, like thoughts to me in the mirror, Stephanie,
Yep.
this is the next level of your preventative care. You're
Right.
turning 40. You need to recognize that this is something you have to do and don't avoid it. Because to be honest with you, Eric, and to be fully transparent for everyone in my chart on this station, welcome.
Yeah.
This is my 4th attempt to schedule. I canceled
Why?
because I
What
didn't
was your
want to
belief?
deal with it.
Don't answer
I
a
didn't
why
wanna deal
question.
with
What
it.
was your belief?
I don't want to deal with this.
No, what was the belief?
If I get diagnosed with breast
Yeah.
cancer, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just leaving the country.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do any of the things. Like I don't even want to have to think about it.
Because the reason why I asked it in that way is because your belief system is the thing that actually sparked the thought process and the emotion.
Absolutely.
And so I'm assuming your belief is if I know, right? Because ignorance is bliss. Let's be real. Having a actual test and seeing the results is a part of the emotional roller coaster. But your emotional roller coaster started when?
Probably when I started to see that there were people I was following or around, like my age, that were in chemo.
Exactly.
That were ringing a bell.
Exactly.
And they were like 20 something, early 30s. And I'm like, what?
Yes. So in
And
reality,
I kept seeing it.
Yes.
Even though I have family members who've had it, I have family friends who've had it. They're in their 60s, 70s, right? But to see like constant thread of women in their 20s and their 30s ringing that bell or just under chemo, I was like, what?
Yeah.
We're getting younger. We're getting sicker, younger.
Yeah, we're getting. So the process, I'm assuming for men and women are the same, right? So you get a hand, test first, and then you get the imaging test, and then if there's something there's a removal of a biopsy. I mean, there's a removal. All right. So for men is like with anything else, I would have to say for men, if a male, has to remove their breasts, there's a level of embarrassment, but they still can, they feel as though they can perform as a male because it's not the prostate, right? A male getting their prostate removed, that's where it attacks the concept of maleness.
Yeah.
In working with clients in dealing with whether, you've had some thought about this or not, in having your breast removed as a woman, that is literally one of the parts that women identify themselves as being a woman.
Yeah.
And it has to be those questions. Was there have you spoken to anybody about this idea that I lose my breast, I am no longer a woman, or anything of that nature?
No, you know why? And it's not to minimize it. I think for me, I'm different, right? I'm different because I really work very hard to detach from this body. I really do. And so I'm not like some like super human, but I think I just have come to this acceptance in general, like, okay, God, like, okay, like, I'm just going to have to deal with it and accept it. Talking to people about it, no. Not necessarily. I've looked at them and I'm like, oh, wow, one of her breasts are gone, or like she went under chemo. I'm probably more concerned about chemo than breast removal.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, and not even like undergoing, but like, what would I decide?
Yeah.
Like, what would I act like? Would I go through chemo? I don't. These are the things I'm asking myself, and it's not to minimize it, but I don't know
because
how far I would let
chemo
medicine
is
take me.
such a attacking measure,
and it's not to minimize it. There are people who went through chemo
definitely.
and they wanted to save their life, right? And I get that. I think what I'm most curious about, what goes on through the woman's mind at that decision point.
Which chemo or removal, or what we talking?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
Like, I don't know. Because and that's also my trauma, like, just to be transparent.
Yeah.
I have had a friend who, her mom went through so many rounds of chemo and she still died of the cancer.
Yeah.
And so a lot of her life was spent managing that. And so
over and over
and over again, versus my grandfather had an aggressive squamous cancer. That's a skin cancer. It travels all through the body.
Yep.
And he couldn't get chemo because 1 minute the cancer was just flexing through his body. Like 1 minute it's down here, next minute it's up there. So they just gave him time and made him comfortable at home. And that was a peaceful transition for me to witness. And so I'm like, wow, he wasn't like fighting for his life.
Yeah.
He enjoyed his life and let it expire.
Yeah.
So that's my mindset. Like, Stephanie, who are you? What do you stand for? And if something is revealed to you after this screening on Friday, like, we better pray and see what God says.
Yeah.
See what God says for you to do.
And working with
Because
clients,
I have no idea.
Yeah.
My fleshly mind is like,
what if,
I don't know.
A lot of times when we're working with clients, we see our client we see ourselves in our clients. It's just a part of the business. If you had a client that was identifying with some of the same fears, do you think you would allow yourself to stay at your counselor level, or do you think you would have seen some form of transference with your client? So
it's so interesting. Like, I do both. They're saying the sound is weird. Okay, I do both. Sorry about that. I do both. Like, I will be present with them and stay in where they are and stay professional. Stay in professional with where they are. And really focus on what their true hearts desire, but also what is blocking them from a level of acceptance. And at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, Stephanie, okay, this is triggering you. Yeah. Like, I will literally have a notebook on the side, like, girl, follow up with self and therapist. Right. Like, and we need to, and therapist, because if your therapist don't have a therapist, that's probably shouldn't be your therapist. We go take a quick break. On the other side, let's do our solutions. And we're going to
figure out. So this is our first time being on IG Live. Shout out to WOVU 95.9 for allowing us to experiment on everything. So this is our first time on IG Live, and we'll get it right just like we got everything else right.
Yes, we will.
But we're going to jump out and we're going to do a quick break because the idea that we're human too, which means that we are dealing with the exact same thing that others are dealing with. And so I appreciate you being vulnerable. So we're going to jump out and we're going to come back and we need some solutions. And okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Why you give me that look?
Because you just had me go through my My Chart on IG Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and 95.9. But now we're all family. Love you guys.
All right.
Enjoy the break.
Give me a minute. Welcome back, Unapologetic on WOVU 95.9 FM. You know, we haven't had to play this in a while. You ready? Hold on.
No.
We haven't had to play our chill song in a while.
I know. We've been on the same page.
All right. So let's wrap this up. So Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Welcome to October. Welcome to my birth month.
We love you.
Welcome to all the fun that I'm about to have turning 50. So there you go.
Oh my God, Eric, you're a decade older than me. I'm turning 40. You're turning 50.
Yeah. You got that right. So black folks.
Forever the baby.
Oh, you wow. Black folks age well.
Yes.
Right. So that's one. My lifestyle is slow. And my wife is 5 years younger than me. So boom.
Ooh. That's the hat.
So that's the hat. That's
the hat.
There you go.
You know how they have like
what's that?
Black wife effect?
Yes.
You know, and like all those trends on Instagram.
Yeah.
So it's a young black wife effect.
I live all that.
Hey, you was smart.
Y'all
was smart.
Why would it?
Beautiful.
Why would
he was intelligent.
I've never watched that movie through all the way.
Rude.
I hate that movie. The Help.
Give me your mic. You lose your mic.
I hate that. All right, Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah.
October 2023, new cases, 290,000 new cases for women. For men, a measly 2,800. Those are just the men that decided to be honest about what's going on.
Yeah.
So if we break it up, obviously we're looking at race. Let's see. Black women, triple negative, right?
Yeah.
So
which is
Hispanics,
is the most aggressive,
right?
I mean, of course, it's the minority. Like, let's just really elevate that. The minority women are impacted by this the most. And I know we had different laughs, and it became about my chart and all of that. But we hope that you hear us, that this is serious, and we love you, and we want you to stay encouraged and get screened, and also understand that Black minority women are impacted the most with the most severe cases. And so that's something to look at and consider. And that's why I'm getting my mammogram based on age and nothing else.
Get it in there. Squeeze them up. So if
y'all survive breast cancer, y'all want to come down here and beat Eric up at 95.9, I'll open the door.
Don't open the door. You hit the little blue light. All right. So if you're a woman, if you're a woman, if you're a Black woman, if you're low socioeconomic status, if you're also a part of the Northeast region, as well as some South, you are more of a higher rate to actually acquire breast cancer in any form. Some of those reasons are for the increase. We're seeing more mammograms, so more awareness. So a rise in numbers doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It just doesn't. It means that it is more identifiable.
Yes,
the more numbers we have, detected. So, please go get screenings. Please go get, do what you got to do. Also, a lifestyle factor. A lot of times we're seeing more because of what we're consuming. We're consuming way too much, and individuals are just really, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Not paying attention to what some of the food that they're eating.
Yes. What did we say in the beginning? What's on your fork determines what's in your My Chart.
Yes. And your genetics. Don't forget the genetics.
So your mama's fork too. And your dad. And
epigenetics. No, I'm just kidding.
But I'm saying, how I treat myself and my body now determines how Ace treats his body, determines how Ace daughters treat their body. And so we can intervene, but we just have to make sure we're getting detected, and we're having a healthy lifestyle, and we're moving, and we're following recommendations, and we prayed up. then
So
you should be good.
for those that do not know, so let's get into the solution part. So I
Yeah.
truly believe that if you're in America, you need the healthcare. We eat as if we have free healthcare. If you have any form of healthcare insurance, first thing to do is call your primary care physician.
Yes.
Schedule your physical. Schedule if you are a male or woman. Schedule anything that is age related and age and demographically related. So
Yeah.
anything like that. Next, follow through. So secondly, take someone take someone with you and have someone there with you, because if you are an individual who is struggling with any form of follow through, having someone there with you to connect with you, to be with you,
Yeah.
is going to better support you. So that's that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, or any solution driven things on
No,
that?
I'm in agreement with those solutions. Just monitor your fork.
Okay.
Monitor your fork. Don't be afraid to go to the doctor. Um, see prevention as a privilege.
Yeah.
And not, don't be like me rescheduling 5 appointments because I was uncomfortable.
And if you do, just be real about it.
Yeah, and keep rescheduling.
Yeah.
Just keep rescheduling until you go. Like,
I don't know about that,
just go. Just make sure you go. And I also think, don't get so wrapped up into it where it's defeating and it paralyzes you. Talk to your support system and stay prayed up.
Yeah.
Have a therapist. Talk about those things. I've been talking about my screening with my therapist for quite some time. So it's just really important.
So this life after diagnosis mean that your world is different.
Yeah, it is.
So we talked about how to, first go through any forms of grief. Do not run, from anything. Run to the storm and through the storm rather than away from the storm.
Yeah.
Next, understand that you're going to have a change in people, places, and things. So a lot of times when we deal with individuals with substance abuse issues, we don't necessarily they don't necessarily survive or go through or have a success, not because they don't have the will or they don't want to change. It's because of the people, places, and things. So what do I mean by that? People, when you have a chronic disorder and you have to change your life, there are certain people you have to let go and certain people you need to move towards. So in order to support your life in the most healthy way, move towards people that are happy or healthy. There are things that we're going to have to give up, whether there are aspects of clothing, whether there are aspects of habits or paraphernalia that is related to a life change, we're going to have to give up. There are some individuals, if we go back to that old Living Single, where Regine, had to go through a breast reduction. And if you watch that episode, she was talking about, one, her image, two, the things that made her her, and then some of the dress that she had to wear, which is things. She had to get rid of the things. And then lastly are the places. When you are struggling with a chronic disorder, there are just certain places you just cannot go.
Yeah.
Because the environment of who you are or what you're struggling with can trigger a disorder. So if you're a smoker, you can't go to certain places. If you're a drinker, if you love Swanson's used to be good when I ate meat, but I used to love it. You can't eat there and have a successful long journey with what you're dealing with. Go ahead. We got about 3 minutes, so we got to wrap.
I don't have anything to add. I think it, along with those external steps to take, just make sure that you're monitoring your thoughts and your feelings, that you find a way to center yourself, fast, pray, go to therapy, and be physical and have something that you care about, knowing that your physical appearance is not always the determination of your identity, but just how you love, how you exist, and how you contribute to society. Right. And so anchor in things that are going to promote that. And you got this.
When you as an individual who is struggling with absolutely anything, don't be afraid to be human. And in being human, you allow yourself to have all of the emotions that comes along with any chronicity. So whether you are suffering from breast cancer, and dealing with the ramifications pre, during, and after, be okay with going through the struggle, because
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's not necessarily what's happening to you, is what's happening for you that you want to focus on.
Yeah.
And a lot is going on, and a lot of positivity is going on while you're going through struggles.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. So on Friday, you have your appointment. And is there any way or anything that you need, any positive energy that you need going through this?
No, I just need prayer.
Okay.
That's it. And to be a phone call away, depending on how it goes in the end, you know, that's it. I'm doing horseback riding that morning. Cause did I tell you I picked up horseback riding?
No.
I'm so excited. So I will be on horse that morning, and then I'll go to my appointment, and
Okay.
it is what it is. If I reschedule it, I'll let you know. Cause I still,
Yeah. Was
I'm like, I got until November. We gonna see.
So we got to talk about these new hobbies, because I'm about to pick up a new hobby.
Oh yes,
The
this
gun-
is what I meant. Like
the gun
finding
range.
your-
I'm about to go. The new. I got.
dang, you
Yeah,
shot me
I'm headed to the
down.
gun range. That's
Okay.
get a membership, and that's going to be my new hobby.
Okay. You're more than a therapist.
I'm more than a therapist.
You're a shooter.
Yeah, and I don't know why. That's the thing.
I
don't
can
know where
imagine
I don't know
why.
where it came from.
Yeah.
It's just something that I was like, okay, let's figure.
glad.
Because I have had a fear of guns, but we could talk about that later on. All right, so we got to head out.
Yes.
Good seeing you again.
We love y'all. Good
All right,
seeing you. Thank
peace.
you.